Hello. How to register with Social Security Administration for 2022 W-2 and W-3 filing. If you already registered, if you already sign up with Social Security Administration and you have an account with them as an employer and you already filed W-2 in the past with them, like 2022 W-2 with them early in 2023, you might want to check your account again to see if you already completed the new registration requirement that they implemented around April 2023. And that new registration is a requirement for new and existing employers. So if you have now gone through the new registration process yet, you might want to check it to make to complete it. So we are going to go to Social Security Employer page, and to complete the new registration, as you can see in the prior year from the main page, when you click on business service session, you should have login information to log in, and that's the old way to log in as an employer on the Social Security Administration website to report W-2 or to e-file W-2 with them. But for 2023 W-2 filing, the process changed. To access your existing account, if you are if your regular account with them before 2023, you will go through the new registration process. You will click on login. Now you will click on create an account to start the process, and the process can take more than 1 week. Therefore, it is important that you start the process early. Filing W-2 with Social Security Administration is due by January 31st, and usually they open the window around December 1st. And I log in, I open the website around December 17, 2023 to submit W-2 for 2023, and notice that I have to create the new account. I have to go through the new registration process to access my existing account with them. So to register, to go through the new registration process, you have 3 options. You have Login.gov, you have ID.me, and then you have your personal Social Security. If you create a Social Security account with them to check your own Social Security information, and you have that account before September 18, 2021, you'll be able to log in through that account. But you will not access your employer account through that process without completing the secure requirement that they have in place there, and that will require them to send you an activation code in the mail as well. So you have those 3 options, and it seems the Login.gov is the default option. The ID.me is a third party that provides it, and IRS use that option as well for some of their requirement, like to access some like e-filing there as well. So if you already create an ID that means with IRS through IRS websites, it could work here because it's through a third party. But Login.gov seems to be the default process here for Social Security Administration, and the Login.gov registration process could take more than a week. When you start the process, they will send you a registration code. During the process, they will get to the point that they will send you a registration code, and that registration code, you will use it, you will submit it, and then you will continue forward again, and you could get to a point that they will choose to send you another activation code again, and the activation code that you'll receive in the mail can take around 10 days for you to receive it, and you won't be able to apply for each one of those activation code at once because the registration process does not allow you to move forward until each step is completed. So when you get to an activation code step, then you have to wait on that code to receive it and to submit it and go forward, like to log in, to follow the instruction, log in, submit that code, and move forward. So I started the process on December 17, 2023, and got to an activation code session, and I received it around December 31st, 2023. And when I put it in, I continued the process until I got to a point that they wanted to send me another activation code. So I'll call them to ask more questions about the second one. So I'm just going to share with you the different steps that I went through to start the registration process. And while we are there, I like to point out on their website, when you go to ssa.gov/employer, and let's go ssa.gov/employer, to start the registration process, you have to work within their hours of operation. You cannot start the process before 5 in the morning. That's what I noticed. When I started on December 17, I was working around maybe 3 in the morning, and I couldn't, like when I click on the let's just go through this area. So when I click on create an account, it will not take me to those 3 options to choose from, including the login.gov. It was just kept bringing me back to the main page also, until I figured out that it's because I was working outside of their hours, and I believe that day was a Sunday as well, or something like that, or Saturday, I have no idea. But anyway, that's just something to keep in mind. The hours of operation is not necessarily just the hours you could call them, but I think it has something to do with the hours you could actually access the website to start the registration. You may not be able to access the page. I cannot confirm it for sure. I only noticed it once. So, and that's that. What another things I like to point out as well is from their main page, when you click on BSO access and registration, they do have a handbook that will help you. That is in fact, they have the process on this page that is helpful, that you can read through to guide you through the process. And your process may not be exactly the same as the one they have in their handbook. And for instance, I noticed that when I was going through the handbook, there is some step that was skipped because I already have a social security account with them. I think once I enter some certain number of information, it just jumped me to the activation code without actually asking for my ID and my photo. Anyway, driver license ID. But then after I received the activation and the mail and then I submitted, it asked me for that step. So just keep in mind that if you are going through the handbook, it may not, the process may not be exactly the same. It might be different for you, but you can find the some instructions that you can find it helpful to guide you through the process, and you can just download them to have them to know what to expect. Another let me see if I can, I think I can come back for that. But another things I like to point out as well is, let's go back. No, SSA.gov/employer. They have another handbook, and I will have the link in the description as well, that you can use, and that is on the main page, how to register and get an activation code. That is a handbook you can take a look at as well, and decoding the BSO activation code. You can see if you can find few helpful information in those. So this one is what I took a look at before I started registration, and I noticed that my steps were not quite identical to the steps they have here after a certain point, but they explain in this one the Login.gov process quite a bit in detail, and that's just for you to to see what is going to take you to register. And for the decoding of the activation codes you'll have in the mail, they seems to explain about 2 or 3 types here, and I don't know if all 3 will be required, or all both of them will be required, but so far I received one, and I've been the process sent me to a stage that I will receive another one in the mail again. So, and let's go back. Also, how to file W-2 with Social Security Administration, from their main page. When you access their website from their main page, they do have electronic W-2C filing handbook that you could find helpful. And when you click on each tab, you'll be able to pretty much read more about it as well, the process. And they explain about how to register, and you might find some information there as well. So when we go back, there is employer filing but yeah, it's now. But yeah, that is the handbook. It is a good um a good one that you can open to have, to read through, as well, to have an idea what to expect if you have not filed W-2 with Social Security before. Because the new registration could take you more than a week, it is important you start the process ahead of time to be able to actually access the page where you could file W-2 with Social Security, because it's due by January 31st. And on this note, I like to point out that if you have some government website, IRS, Social Security, and state like that, you do not report data on, or you do not access on a regular basis, it might be a good idea to access them maybe every few months or more often, just to make sure your login information are still working, and everything in your account is as expected, just to avoid those unexpected situations that for instance, that I found myself in. Because all I do on Social Security employer page is to file W-2 at the end of the year, or at the beginning of the year. And in 2023, I decided to start a little bit early, is when I tried to log in on December 17, 2023, because I know that they opened the process around the 1st of December. So, and instead of waiting until January, I wanted to start a little bit early. And I tried to log in on December 17, 2023, to just find out that I couldn't access my existing account. I have to go through the new registration process and link the Login.gov to my existing employer account to be able to access that account. And then I start the process and notice that it can take 15 to 20 days or so to get the activation code in the mail. And I got one, and then I continue the process again to find out that I'll be getting another one in the mail. They do have phone number that you can reach if you need to call them for immediate assistance as well. That it is a good idea to have that on hand, just in case you need to call them. They do have that option that they say if you need immediate assistance or access to your account, to call. So let's see if we can find the number. And I do have it in the we'll come across it on during our presentation. But yeah, you do have the phone number that you can call, and it's between Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. 7 p.m. So, and yeah, and that's something to have on hand as well, to be able to reach them. And they do have, for access and registration for Login.gov, they do have 1-844-875-6456 number as well. It does not say when you'll be able to reach that number though. But yeah. Okay, so now let's in the documentation, I just like to point out that there is IRS website that you can go through as well, and just put in W2 and be able to find instructions on how to complete W2, what to expect. So you do not just download a W2 form from IRS website and input data in it and mail it. No. If you want to paper file W2, you have to request specific form and receive it and complete it. So it's just better you e-file it. But frankly, Social Security Administration websites is making it very challenging to actually access the employer account to e-file W2 for 2023. And that is the website. So ssa.gov/employer. And we just talk about, to create an account, the handbook, and the account, and BS access and registration, where you can find information that you can have on hand to work with, and the hours that you should remember to work within. And under employer, you have to log into either create account or log in to when you receive the activation code is the login you will use. But to start the process is create account if you have not gone through the new process. And when you click on access and registration, they have those instructions there that you can read, and you have those manual for each option, depending on which option you wanted to go through. And then you have the coding, the activation code, and how to register to get an activation code that I just show you. You have those handbook that you can access there, and those are the handbook, the decoding, and the registration. Those are pretty much the link to those. And I'll see for the others that I point out if I'll be able to add it to the description as well. Okay, so now let's use this example to show how the process work, at least for me, when I try to log in. So the first step, the registration process that you will go through if you are registering for the first time. Like now, actually your owner's account, the business, the SSA employer account. But when you are doing the Login.gov registration, so you'll come to their main website, and I went through account, and I click on Login.gov. But I will say that even if you click on business service online, you will be able to access that page as well. And you click on Login.gov, and it will take you to the next page where you will click on create an account. From create an account, you'll enter your email, and they will send you a confirmation in the email. So you need to log into the email, get that confirmation, or click on the link they'll send in your email to continue. And once you do that, you will be able to add your password to the you'll add your password. And the next step will be to add authentication method. So you have between a code and you have the test you have the, yeah, I was talking more about the backup codes. You have the test, you have the security key, and you have the government employee ID as well. So I chose the test. You will be asked to put your phone number, and you can choose between a call or a text. So we select a text here, and they will send a code to your phone number. So you enter the code and then you click submit. From that page, you added your first authentication method. Add a second method as a backup. You can skip it for now, or you can add it. And I tried to skip it and I went back again to add it. So the second option, you could choose a backup code. So backup code will give you 10 code that you need to save, and when you use all 10, you'll be able to generate more once you have access to your account. So, and when the barcode is generated, save, you'll go to the next step. You'll click on continue. If you click on skip now, that we saw earlier, after we submitted the text as the only option, you will still go to this step if you skip the second security method. But I think at some point it will still ask you to add an additional one, like you can do a little tap things. But anyway, at this step, you will click on continue. So you need to verify your identity to access the requested service. So when you click on continue, so since it's the first time we didn't have the activation code, so, and they say this code is different from the security code you just verified, and by reference to the security code, they are more talking about either the one they send you on the as a text, or the one they send you in the email. So during the process, the one we came across earlier, so it's not the one you receive on your phone. And the activation codes may be received by text, voicemail, post, or at an office. So in the manual, though, they say they made it sound like they'll give you an option to receive the activation code by text, but I didn't come across that option during the process. The only option I was given was by email, which can take longer. So did you receive an activation code? So at this step you will say no. So then you will click on next. So the next is more about their terms of service. You can read through it and agree, and then you click next. So next, you need to verify your identity to give you access to online services, and you will enter your information. And in the term of service, they made it clear that you are signing for yourself. So for example, you cannot create an account for another person, so you have to create it for yourself. And they have, you can read through it, but let's go to next. So you have to enter your personal information in it, and at this stage, if you already have a personal social security account with them, they will be able to make the connection between both because of the information they ask on this page. And you'll click next once you enter all those information. And because I already have a social security, when you have a social security account, and I will say for everybody working, you should have an online account with social security where you can log in time to time to see the annual income reported to social security on your behalf by your employer. They have a record of those, and if you have an account with them before September 18, 2021, it will. But anyway, if you have an account online with them, it will make the connection. So because I have an account with them, they made that connection and say you have an existing social security online account. You may link your Login.gov credential to your existing Social Security online account. Although I was not creating the Login.gov because of that, I was creating it for the employer account. So link your account with Login.gov. Would you like to continue? After you set up your Login.gov account, you'll be able to access your Social Security online service with your Login.gov credential. So I click on yes to continue, and then at this point they say we have sent you a letter with an activation code for your Social Security online account. So they sent the activation code for the Social Security online account, which is interesting because I was more expecting the activation code to give me access to the Social Security employer account. But anyway, an activation code helps us verify your identity and improve the security of your account. You will only need to provide this code once. Well, guess what? I tried that code more than once and I got suspended for 24 hours to access the account because I kept looking around to see if there is a way around to move forward with the registration process after I enter the activation code. So we'll get there. Just for you to keep that in mind that it can happen if you keep using the activation code more than once. After 3 times, it will log you out of the account. So a letter with your activation code was sent to, and then they will put the address that you submitted earlier. So allow 15 to 20 days to receive your activation code. So that's why you need to start early, because if you are going to report W-2 by January 31st, you want to be able to access your employer account. But when I say employer, pretty much your business account that you can file W-2 for your employees in. So once you have received your activation code, you can finish setting up your account online by following the instruction in your letter. Please note your existing Social Security online account username and password will still be active until you successfully enter the activation code. And something about this as well is, so since the Login.gov didn't automatically get me to my employer account, that day I got stopped at this stage because there is no other option other than exiting. I tried to access my Social Security online account because I know that I have that account for some years now, and I was able to use my username and password that I have with it. And when I log in, I was able to they asked me to change there is few steps that they'll ask you to pretty much update your information, your security information, but things that happened very quickly, and I was able to access my W-2 record. When I say W-2 record, like for myself, for the number of years that I've been working, type of things. But there is an option to go through your employer account through Social Security online account. And when I try to do that, they say that I have to add an additional security to my Social Security online account, and that additional security will require an activation code. And I just stop it there because I already was expecting one in the mail and I didn't want to request another one. But now it seems like this activation code could have been for the Social Security online account as well. So it's getting more confusing, but pretty much let's see if I can. So if you go to their website, let's see. Like if you have a social security account with them, let's just click on login, for instance. You can use your social security account by choosing this option to put your username and password if you have the account with them before 2021 September. But chances are it's not going to automatically get you to your employer account if you do not add the additional security that they are recommending, and that will require an activation code that I don't know if they can give you by text or if it has to be by the mail. But I didn't go through that step, but I tried to log in through my social security username, and I only went as far as just accessing my personal social security account rather than my business social security administration account, if that makes sense. Okay, so we are at this stage, and that is the pretty much, and when I exited, it just brought me back to a personal social security page. This is personal social security page, and social security employer page looks more like this for employer, but the process pretty much sent me to personal social security page, and then the registration process paused at this stage until I got the activation code. So when I got the activation code, let's see the next step that we had to go through. So to submit the activation code. So the activation code letter will come with the website that for you to tap a website, and then the website, when you tap it, it will just take you back to this page, and you'll sign in through your Login.gov, and you pretty much recognize this page. Instead of click on create account, you'll click on sign in, and when you click on sign in, you'll enter your email and your password that you used to create the account during the registration process. When you do that, you'll send a code to your phone, and you'll add it to this step and click submit. And then it will say you need to verify your identity to access the requested service. So you click on continue, and then it will show you pretty much those terms of services. To finish setting up your account, you will need to enter some personal information and your account activation code that you received. So you can read the information and you agree by checking that box, and you click on next. When you do that, it will ask for your social security, and then it will ask for the activation code that they send you in the mail. So I enter that activation code and I click on next. When I did that, it said congratulations, you now have access the secure online service. And then I saw next there, and in my mind, when I click on next, it will allow me to go to employer account where I can just continue from there. So let's click on that next and see. It took me back to term and services again, and you check agree the term after you read it, and you check next again, and then it took me to this page where it stated you need to verify your identity to access the requested service. So I click on continue, and then I was brought back to this term of service, which we agree, check next, and then it asks for address and phone number. So we enter the information, and then it say please choose how to verify your ID, and this step is in the their handbook. That, let's go here, like when you are on their main page, when you come to the bottom, you click on how to register. They have that stage in the process before the activation code. But for me, because I already have social security personal account with them, they skip that step and went to sending me an activation code. But just keep in mind that your process might be different from mine. But let's see if we can and they even give you an option to get an activation code by text, which I didn't have that option. That's something to keep in mind. It only gave me the option to get it by the mail. So, and that pretty much at this stage, yes, that's when they say that I have an account with them. And then they ask me if I want to link it, and to continue, I click on continue or next and move forward. But here they gave the option to get it by text. And from that point, it went to the ID verification. For me, it sent me the code by mail, which took 10 days or so to get it. And when I put it in it, I just continued the process, and it brought me to this page for the ID information. So that's just what I wanted to point out. And I don't know if there will be another, and there is a photo that you how to take the photo with your smartphone. They have information on it, and I don't know if it will ask for another activation code. Yeah, they say you have access to the secure online, and then a prompt, they gave the option for you to to go for the owner. It start the process for the owner account on the manual. But now in the manual, but now when I was actually registering, so that's something to keep in mind. And I was expecting to get to this stage, but I didn't get to that stage. So let's continue with the process that I actually went through. So when he asked me for the ID, so you can take picture, and I chose to import it. But to import it, you'll have to add financial information as well, and they give you the option. So, and you click on next, and you will choose the type of ID you have, and then you will enter the ID information. Then for the financial information, you will choose one to go with, and it'll ask for, because I chose a credit card, it asked for the last due date, which got added in, and then it brought me to this stage. They said we send you a letter with an activation code for your social security online account. An activation code helps us verify your identity and improve the security of your account. You will only need to provide this code once. A letter with your activation code was sent to, and then that will go to the address you submitted. Please allow 15 to 10 days to receive your activation code. Once you have received the activation code, you can finish setting up your account online by following the instructions in your letter. And this happened And so pretty much I didn't have any other option other than to exit. So when I exited, I tried to log in again, and that's when I added the activation code more than once, and they pretty much kicked me out. But and that is the submission of the activation code process. So now let's see, when I'm trying to log in, since technically I submitted the activation code and continued the process until I got to a point they want to send me another one again. So I said, okay, I don't know why I needed another activation code. Let's try to log in. And then I went back to the website, the employer website, and click on login and click on Login.gov, because there is no other way to get into your employer account but other than just going through Login.gov, unless you have the other two options to go with, the ID me and the social security username. So I click on sign in, enter the email and the password that we use to create the Login.gov account. They sent a test to the phone, and the code was added, and we submitted. And then we got to this page, and they say, our record show we sent you an activation code. So this code is different from the security code we just verified. Activation code may be received by text, voicemail, postal mail, or at an office. Do you want to use your activation code now? So the way I did it is, at some point I say no, and at some other I say no. And when I say no and I went through the process, it said that I need an activation code to move forward. And then I start over again by logging in, and then I say yes. So when I say yes, I went ahead, they have the terms of services and the information they will ask me to enter. I agree and I click on next, and then I added the activation code that I added before, that I received in the mail. And I click on next, and when I did that, they said that our record should I don't know, I think when I did that it didn't work. Like they say that you cannot use that activation code or something. They gave me a something that it was not verified. So I start the process by logging in again, and I click on no this time, and then I went through the term of service and I agree, and I click on next, and they say you need to verify your identity to access the requested service. So I click on continue, send me to the term of service again. I agreed, and next they asked me for the activation code. So it's like there is no way around it. And then I added the activation code, so that'll be twice probably, beside the first time that I added when I got the letter. So that's why I made it 3 times. So they say we tried 3 times to match the information you provided with our record, but we're now unable to do so. So you may, it could be I try it 3 times, because when I click on yes, they asked for the code, I gave it, and they gave me an information like, no, you cannot use the activation code or something like that. And then I tried it again with no, but I couldn't go anywhere. So and then I said, okay, let's go through it and put the code again. But pretty much it ended up being 3 times, and I got suspended to use the account for 24 hours. So you may try to access the electronic information again after 24 hours. Please verify your personal information again before trying to use this online service. The suspension will not affect any social security benefit you receive. So, and then I exceeded. So just to bring it to your attention that it can be time consuming and it can be very frustrating, the process, because it is just I'm not even sure the issue of that extra security that is so not straightforward, and you have to wait for the activation in the mail, which I put in, but again, it didn't really get me anywhere. So they do have those phone number that you can access, and yeah, they have pretty much multiple phones, but it is important to use the right one, because this one is more like a personal social security account, and it is not what we want. This one is more for employer use. That'll be more like it. And another one will be the one related to Login.gov, and I believe it was on the main page. The customer support on the main page have a phone for the login help center that could be useful as well, since the issue is during the Login.gov process. But yeah, it's taking so long to actually register, to to go through this new registration process, to actually log into our business account to e-file W-2 for 2023 with Social Security Administration. And because it's due at the end of January, it is crucial to be able to file yours on time. If you are going to file W-2 with Social Security for 2023, it is crucial to start the process early, just in case if you are going to wait for activation code in the mail, you can get it on time. Thank you very much. And I will try to call them during the week to really see what is going on. And another option will be to try to log in again through my Social Security account, since it seems like maybe the activation code could have been linked to my Social Security. And I did get an email later saying that they discontinued my previous username and password to my Social Security. Therefore, I will log in through Login.gov. I will use that process to go in, and there is a website. Let's see, there is a website that will be used for that, www.ssa.gov. If I recall right, is set up. No, it's not. But I don't know if I type it well, but yeah, it gave me a link. I believe is SS. I'm not sure why it didn't, unless I didn't type it well. Is ssa.gov/setup. I'm not sure why. Okay, maybe I didn't do something right. So yeah, it gave me that link. That's what I will use to log in. So now that I tap it, it brought me to this stage. And I know that for the boss, for the employer, it is ssa.gov /BSO setup. And for the employer, will take you to the same page with a little difference in it, but you'll still have those three options. So I will try to go through the boss login, but using the third option to see if the activation code that I entered when I received the letter will allow me to go through my personal social security account to access my business account. But again, I'm not sure. But just to keep in mind that it can take weeks for you to actually access your employer account if you have to get an activation code in the mail. The manual say give that option that you could choose to get it as a phone test, but I was not giving that option. Just keep that in mind. And I don't know if there is more than one activation code to expect from them to actually get to that employer stage. And I do know that there is, if you from their registration page, though their manual, it seems like it's a little blurry here, but it seems like okay, now they are giving for the ID me option as well, in case you wanted to go through that process. Keep in mind that IRS use ID me for some stuff, so it could be an option at some point to create that account to have it available. But yeah, so it just seems that when you get to the employer session, you will select to create it. That will be anyway. So I think that is for the other option that they are explaining. Oh, we are still, I'm sorry, so we just went little bit we went back to the beginning, but let's see how the manual is explaining, just in case you got your text message, you got your activation code by text, what to expect. So when you get your activation by text and you enter it, you'll be able to go ahead and submit your ID, whether by taking a picture or by inputting it with financial information included. So, and they gave instruction on how to take the photo with your smartphone, and then steps to verify your financial information as well. And when all of that is authenticated, you click on next. You'll select a request a new ID for your business, for your employer account. So you'll pretty much go through that process. So your new business pretty much your business account user ID will be created, and you'll be able to access your business account. So when you access your business account, and again, I don't know if existing account owners will have to go through that process. I had to get to that stage to know, but anyway, in case they really change their account, the main account, then you have to click on request new service, because before, under manage account, you should be able to have your account info and all that, and pretty much you'll have submit W2 and just go from there. But it seems like there is a request new service option there, and then you'll go through that process. you'll enter your employer information, and then you'll click on request access to business service, like pretty much. And there is a box to check, and I don't know if for employer and select next button. I don't know if it was an optional thing or what, but it seems like electronic wage reporting service and or social security number verification. So it seems like you have to check that suite option, and you'll request access to it. So when you request access, you will, okay, there is social security verification option as well, whether you want to do that or not. And request access to business service confirmation. So activation code will be mailed to the address you have on record for your employer, and are usually received within 2 weeks. So there is a possible activation code that you could be expecting from them, and once you get that code, you will click on enter activation code once you log into your business account. I just don't know if you need that activation code to actually report to Social Security though, but just something to keep in mind. If that service is available without, it depends on options that you'll have when you log into your account. If that's a brand new account, then maybe you'll go through request new services. But if you already have account with them before 2023 change to their registration process, maybe you might just have the reporting wages as a service already in their account, just like the way it was their prior years. But you just have to go through the process to see it. And when you add the activation code, you'll go to the main menu, and you are now ready to report wages to Social Security. So it seems like you could be expecting to submit 2 to 3 activation code during the whole process to get to the reporting, to get to the page where you can actually e-file W-2 with Social Security for 2023. For that reason, it's important to start early, because you cannot do a request all the code at once, and each one could take you about 2 weeks to get, and we are already in January, and the W-2s are due by the end of January. So it is very, very annoying, in my opinion, for us to have to go through that process to actually file our taxes and pretty much pay our taxes. So the government should make it hard for us to pay our taxes. So and that's why I say it is, if you have those government accounts that you access on behalf of your business, but you don't access them on a monthly basis because you don't do reporting on a monthly basis, it might be and you don't even access them on a quarterly basis, it might be a good idea to log in a few times during the year to just make sure your account is up to date. You can actually log in and everything in your account is as expected, so that those changes are not a surprise. And I'm sure they will have sent an email to existing employer about those changes, but again, maybe somewhere in my junk mail. but yeah, thank you so much for watching. Let's go to we thank you very much for watching our videos. Thank you very much for all your comments, and we thank you very much for all that subscribe to our channel. Thank you for your time. On our channel and on our blog ninasop.com, we share different ways you can save money and different ways you can make money to reach your financial independence, where you do not depend on an employer to provide for your family. And on our blog ninasop.com, we have free download session where you can download free template, financial template and business templates to manage your finances and to manage your business. We have Liberman.com as well, where you can purchase financial templates and business templates to manage your finances and to manage your business. Thank you. I'm Afiavi Liberman, creator of Liberman Consulting L.L.C YouTube channel and ninasop.com, our blog. Thank you.